Carl Jung said something that should stop you cold. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Let me repeat that. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The thing you keep blaming on bad luck, on other people, on timing, on the universe having it out for you, Jung would tell you it's not fate at all. It's the part of you that you refuse to look at, steering the whole ship from the dark. Welcome back, loves, and welcome if you're new to the sanctuary. This is Shadow Work Sunday, a place where we stop running from the parts of ourselves we were taught to hide and we bring them home instead. Now remember, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and always use your own discernment. You are your own best guide. I'm sharing the truth Spirit has shown me, and a quick heart-to-heart, shadow work can stir things up. So if something lands hard today, go gently. This isn't about tearing yourself apart. It's about coming home. Because here's what almost no one tells you about Jung. The man who mapped the shadow nearly lost himself in the dark first, and what he found down there changed everything. So who was Carl Jung, and why do we keep circling back to him here? Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist, once Freud's closest colleague, who broke away because he believed the psyche was far bigger, far deeper, and far more sacred than Freud would allow. Jung wasn't afraid of the mystical. He worked with dreams, symbols, myth, the underworld of the soul. That's exactly why he speaks to us in this space, and exactly why I call myself a Jungian. But here's the part they leave out of the textbooks. After Jung split from Freud, he fell into a period so dark he genuinely believed he was going insane. He was flooded with visions, voices, waking dreams so vivid he couldn't tell if he was losing his mind. A lesser man would have buried it, medicated it, or run from it. But Jung did the opposite. He turned toward the darkness. He descended into it on purpose. And what he did with those visions became one of the most mysterious books ever created, one he hid from the world for almost 50 years. I'll tell you about it in a moment. That book is called The Red Book. For years, Jung recorded his descent, his visions, his conversations with figures that rose up out of his own unconscious. And then he did something extraordinary. He transcribed it all into a massive hand-illustrated manuscript filled with his own paintings, calligraphy, and symbols that look like they came out of a medieval book of magic. And then he locked it away. He didn't publish it. His family kept it in a vault. The world didn't see the Red Book until 2009, y'all, nearly half a century after his death. And I had a chance to look at it, and it knocked me to my core, okay? Why does this matter to us? Because Jung didn't teach shadow work from a textbook. He lived it. He went down into his own underworld, faced what was there, and came back with the map. Everything he later taught about the shadow was forged in that fire. He wasn't theorizing about the dark. He had been there himself. So let's talk about what the shadow actually is, and I promise by the end of this, you're going to recognize yours. You may already be feeling it. So what is the shadow? The shadow is everything about yourself that you pushed out of the light. Not because it's evil, and this is important, but because somewhere along the way you were taught it wasn't acceptable. Your anger, your desire, your power, your neediness, your ambition, your grief, the traits you learned to hide to stay loved, safe, to belong. You didn't kill those parts, you can't. You just buried them alive. And buried things don't stay quiet. They leak. They show up in who triggers you, who you can't stand, the patterns you keep repeating, the same relationship wearing a different face. And this is Jung's sharpest insight, projection. The things that enrage you in other people, often they're a mirror. The trait you swear you'd never have is usually the exact one you've exiled in yourself. Jung said everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The people who get under your skin are holding up a lantern to the rooms in you that you've kept locked. But here's the twist that changes everything. Your shadow isn't only hiding your wounds, it's hiding something you're going to want back. Stay with me. So here's the twist. Jung believed the shadow doesn't only hold your wounds, it holds your gold, the power you disowned, the voice you silenced, the gifts that got shamed out of you as a child. Sometimes the very thing you're most afraid to look at is the thing carrying your greatest medicine. And this is why we do this work here in a spiritual space, Shadow Work Sunday, not just leave it to the therapist, okay? Because you cannot heal, ascend, manifest, or step into your mission while half of you is in exile. That's the part the love and light corners of this community won't tell you. You can say your affirmations all day, but if your shadow believes you're unworthy, unsafe, unlovable, the shadow wins. It runs the deeper program. Jung's goal was never perfection, because we know that doesn't exist, right? It was wholeness, bringing the exiled parts back to the table, not to destroy them, but to understand them and finally welcome them home. This is why I always separate darkness from evil. The dark in you is not your enemy, it's the fertile ground. Every myth of descent, every dark goddess, every journey through the underworld is telling the same truth Jung told. You have to go down into the dark to come back whole. So before you go, I want to give you one honest question to sit with this week. It's uncomfortable, but it's the doorway. Here's your question for this week. The next time someone truly gets under your skin, someone whose behavior you can't stand, pause and ask yourself, what is this person showing me about a part of myself I've refused to look at? Sit with it. Don't rush to answer it. That brainstorming thing I say to do on paper, this is a perfect moment. And that discomfort you feel, that's not a wall. That's the door. Because shadow work isn't about fixing something that's broken in you. It's about reclaiming something sacred. It's turning around, facing the part of yourself you are most afraid to meet, and saying, I see you. You belong to me too. Come home. Now, if this stirred something and you want to actually do the work, not just understand it, I've built tools for exactly that in the sanctuary. My shadow work resources are linked below whenever you're ready. No pressure. The right people always find them at the right time. If today's message resonated, have a green heart in the comments for me so I know that it reached you, and subscribe so you don't miss next Shadow Work Sunday. And I'll see you next week. But until then, sending you light, love, and healing, and I hope this helped.